Hi, welcome to Chapter 18, Social and Personality Development in Late Adulthood. In this chapter, we're going to look at theories of social and personality development, individual differences, social relationships, and career issues later in life. These are the objectives we'll be covering. There's been little research on adults' ability to achieve acceptance. When you look at Erikson's ego integrity versus despair. But the findings involves that older adults do become more reflective and philosophical. Those who achieve some degree of self-satisfaction are less fearful of death. Older adults tend to respond to thwarted personal goals with sadness. Erikson's final stage, ego integrity versus despair. It's a sense that one has lived a useful life. One must come to terms with who he or she is and who they have been, how their life has been lived, the opportunities gained and lost, and also must come to terms with death. Now, despair involves the failure to achieve ego integrity and can lead to hopelessness because too little time remains to really make meaningful changes in their life. Reminiscence is where elders have the opportunity to share the past with another person. Elders who do not have an intergenerational view of reminiscence do not engage in reminiscence as often as older peers. Researchers propose a connection between reminiscence and health. It provides more ways of communicating older adult experiences to younger individuals. Next, Baltz and Baltus talk about what's called the activity theory. The effects of activity are not large, but are always positive. It is positive even for those elders whose interactions come with pain. Activity theory involves the psychologically and physically healthiest response to old age, is to maintain the greatest possible level of activity and involvement in the greatest number of roles. Active adults report slightly greater satisfaction with themselves and life, are healthiest, and have the highest morale. Some socially isolated elders are content if they have an all-consuming hobby. Next is disengagement theory versus continuity theory. Disengagement theory suggests a shrinkage of life space. They interact with fewer other people and fill fewer social roles. There's increasing individuality, much less governed by strict rules or expectations, and a more acceptance of these changes. They actively disengage from roles and relationships. Where continuity theory is where it's important to maintain consistency in activities and interests. There's a term called successful aging paradigm, and if you're maintaining successful aging, you'll be able to maintain good health, retain your cognitive abilities, continue to engage in social and productive activities, and you have a subjective sense of life satisfaction, and there's a conceptualization of old age as variability rather than universal decline. Older adults reap the benefits of healthy choices made early in life. So if you may have a healthy diet, exercise, etc., that's going to pay off later in life. If injured, older adults may face painful rehabilitation to improve recovery and resume activities. Responding to health crises in a positive way makes a huge difference in aging. With cognitive ability links, they're connected with verbal intelligence and education, complex cognitive challenge engagement. Cognitive adventurousness is a willingness to learn new things. The avoidance of ageist self-stereotyping that contributes to reluctance to use new technologies can lead to cognitive decline. So it's important to get rid of those stereotypes and continue to use new technologies. Think about when will you retire? And what contributes to social engagement? Even elders with significant health or disabilities report more satisfaction with life if they're able to help other people. Nursing home residents report greater life satisfaction when they have frequent contact with family and friends. Elders who help others and remain active in a community exhibit higher physical and emotional functioning. Those who help others feel more satisfied with their own lives. With volunteerism, performing unpaid work for altruistic reasons is linked to successful aging. Between 10 and 30% of older adults are involved in volunteer activities. Older adults contribute to more school programs than any other group. New pursuits offer productivity options, such as music lessons or art classes, attending college classes. It gives a sense of purpose in life and provides a sense of competence. Some questions to consider. We need to continued focus on medical research to address issues in physical decline. Does this provide a new kind of ageism when we refuse to or do not do research on elderly? Can people with physical limitations feel adequate? Next is life satisfaction. This would include having a sense of control. It's important to the sense of personal well-being. Perceived adequacy of social support is important, so perceived adequacy of income. Self-ratings of health can be critical. Seeing others as having more problems than oneself also contributes to life satisfaction. There's a tendency to turn to religious beliefs and institutions in time of stress or trouble. This is a primary means of coping for many African Americans. They tend to score higher in the use of religious coping. They may mitigate depression, where women may make use more of religious coping. And there's a little video on religion and longevity. Religious beliefs are linked to less worry. Elders place a high emphasis on religious faith. They tend to worry less. Older adults who are Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Hindus, Taoists, and Sikhs have shown better health as a group. Associations between religious faith and physical and mental health are reported among diverse faiths. Positive effects associated with how elders think about their lives. Provides elders with a positive theme to integrate various periods of life. Religious service attendance provides a social aspect necessary for sustained health. Individuals who attend church are more likely to comply with medical advice. Possibly even discuss medication regimes with peers. Institutions provide avenues for helping others, intergenerational opportunities, and structures to pass on knowledge and beliefs to younger individuals. Low-income elders often rely on divine power. Older adults may be unjustly forced out of roles by younger adults. Physical and cognitive changes affect those roles. Ageism affects roles. Looking old can lead to negative stereotypes about competence. Ageism is applied to older women more than to men. Older adults may be prejudiced against their older peers. Elder roles have fewer expectations and duties. Daily routines may no longer be structured by specific roles, and there's a risk of isolation or alienation. If you look on page 450, figure 18.1, you can look at various variations across ethnic groups. Most prefer to live in their private homes. Aging in place is a term that's used for being able to modify your private residence, being responsive to changing needs in your own home, being able to hire a home health aide is very helpful. Changing the normal environment is preferable to moving to an institution. Comprehensive home-based care has strong positive effects on elders' physical and mental health. This shows living arrangements of the population aged 65 and over by sex and race and Hispanic origin in the year 2010. And notice over here, it's most people still live with spouse, and then there's a percentage that's living alone. Um, ADLs, or activities of daily living, influences health, especially those who need help with one or two activities of those daily living activities. Lower income elders more often live with children. They're more likely to live with their daughters. Married adults are more likely to take in their elders. Ethnicity, um, Hispanic Americans, African Americans, and Asian Americans are more likely to live with their relatives. There's a term called filial piety, which is children have a duty to care for their elderly parents. In Japan, only 1/3 of older adults live alone or with a spouse. It's a common feature of Asian cultures. Asian elders who live with children are less depressed. Asian countries may not provide pension programs for the elderly, so it becomes a necessity to live with family members. Independent living community or apartment complex in which all residents are over a certain age, such as 55, is one type of living arrangement. Typically, it does not provide health care assistance, but residents join together for social activities. Approximately 4% of older adults live in assisted living facilities. About 4% of older adults, the average age is around 80. Most require help with one or two ADLs. Nurses are available around the clock. They live in small apartments, but elders report less stress and enhanced sense of well-being just from knowing that help is nearby. A skilled nursing facility is usually common among females in the late 70s or 80s. It's continuing care retirement community. This is a new form offering multiple continuous levels of care from independent living to skilled nursing in the same home. Filial piety is to love, honor, and obey and respect parents and to advise, teach, and care for them as they age. Filial piety in some Western cultures is more like that of North Americans and Europeans. It's based on affection and attachment. It's motivated by its cultural, spiritual, and religious values. It's influenced by children's social and financial resources. It may have adverse consequences, especially for elderly Asians. So in what ways do Western families display filial piety other than having their elders live in their home? Beyond the influence of Western media, what kinds of internal social changes in Asian societies might have contributed to declines in filial piety? So if you notice, Western families tend to have less filial piety. However, even in Asian countries, as they become more westernized, they're showing a decline in filial piety. Older couples resolve conflicts in more affectionate and less negative ways. Those who spend more time with each other report high levels of happiness. In late adulthood, marriages tend to be based on loyalty, familiarity, companionship, and mutual investment in relationship. There's a higher levels of pleasure and less conflict. There's remarkable care of older individuals that they give to each other. And this is similar in gay and lesbian relationships as well. Deciding on a nursing home care. This is a tough decision for a lot of children dealing with their aging parents. Finding the best long-term placement involves the assessment of needs and resources. Criteria of long-term care is the staff, complaints, researching inspection documents, visiting several times, noting resident care, talking to family members of other residents, asking about emergency policies, and closely monitoring after admittance. You decide which is most important. One, in some cases, an older adult is probably better off living in a long-term facility than with a family member. Or two, living with a family member is always preferable to a placement in a long-term facility. I tend to lean towards two, unless there's a lot of dementia and the adult needs a lot more care that I wouldn't be able to provide. Family relationships. Adult children, 86% see at least one child at least once a week. 65% live within 1 hour of at least one child. Elders both give and receive social and financial support with their children. Death of the spouse. Men often remarry at higher rates. It's because the odds are more in their favor. There's a lot more elderly women than elderly men. Older men are more likely to date. More single, older women. We talked about that. Both men and women benefit emotionally from remarriage. Married older adults have higher life satisfaction, better health, and lower rates of institutionalization. Advantages are greater for married older men. Here's some videos on divorce and falling in love again. Grandchildren are rarely part of an elderly adult's close family network. Sibling relationships become more important with age. They seldom provide practical assistance, but can provide emotional support, can be seen as a support of last resort. So what role do friendships play? They may provide assistance with daily tasks as well as a support network, improve, reduce loneliness, have companionship and stuff like that. With gender and ethnic differences in social networks, these patterns are a continuation of a pattern evident across most of the lifespan. Men's friendships involve less disclosure and intimacy. Women have larger networks. Both sexes report similar satisfaction and emotional support from their social networks. African Americans have warmer relationships with their siblings. They have what's called fictive kinship, where friends who acquire family member status. So they're like family, even though they're not biologically family. Other ethnic groups report more extensive social networks than whites do. Those are still supporting children, retire later in life. Late marriages and those raising grandchildren delay retirement. Poor pension plans means working longer even when health is an issue. Challenging and interesting work leads to later retirement. The timing of retirement is usually a decline in average age. There's a decline in average age of retirement. Most older adults plan on working part-time even after they retire. It's a multi-phase process that usually bridges jobs to retirement. Reasons for retirement might be health concerns, family composition and considerations, finances, work characteristics, or their level of enjoyment or downsizing. The effects of retirement. The elderly face a decline in income of roughly 25% after retirement. Owning a home with no payments improves the financial picture. Medicare eligibility as well as senior citizen benefits also help. Sources of income at this time would be government pensions, such as Social Security, other pensions, earning from continued work. When all factors are figured in, incomes for retired adults in U.S., Australia, and most European countries is 85 to 100% of pre-retirement levels. The most reliable predictor is when a woman retires when her husband is retired. Poverty rates have declined among the elderly in recent years. Significant improvements in Social Security also help significantly. More elderly are high school or college graduates than ever before. Most have had better jobs and earn more money before retirement than elders in the past have. If you look on page 460, figure 18.2 for ethnic group breakdown, differences among ethnic group rates of poverty have declined, although disparities remain. Poverty is associated with disability status. Some current ethnic differences relate to educational attainment. Among singles, older women are more likely than older men to be poor because women are less likely to have earned retirement benefits, and due to lower pay, they have lower benefits. So where's the money? It comes from government pensions, savings, continued employment, a lot of them continue part-time jobs, public assistance, and other pensions. True or false? It appears that retirement is the factor that predicts happiness, not satisfaction with life in earlier adulthood. It is false. Health does not change simply because of retirement. Retirement is not seen as a stressor. But retirement has essentially no impact on overall life satisfaction or subjective well-being. Those with the least control over the decision to retire respond least well to retirement. This little chart talks about ethnicity and poverty among the elderly. Notice that poverty is a lot lower among white population and is much higher among African and Hispanic populations. These are three different kinds of moves made by quite different subsets of the population of elderly. First is the amenity move, and this is where elderlies who make amenity move is generally because they have more income, better health, happy marriages. This is usually made close to retirement. It may be a move away from their children, maybe towards a more warmer climate or the seaside. They may move seasonably based on the weather. Compensatory kinship migration is where usually it's where a widow with disabilities moves closer to a child. Institutional migration is moving towards an institution or a nursing home. Finally, elder adults continue to work for many reasons. One is because they have to. Two, because they have good health and are committed to their trade. Three, as they're satisfied with their job. Four, they have the opportunity to learn new job skills and remain productive. And here's a nice little video on seniors saying no to retirement. That's it for this week. Have a wonderful week.